All right, so now it's time to create the template that is going to hold our products. And so to get you started, I have in your under source and under the API, there's a folder called products, and there's a file called products.html. So this is what you're going to use as your template. So I'm going to Control-Alt copy all of those and start from scratch. So I'm going to go into my app folder, and I'm going to create a folder called products. So a new folder called products. And this is where we're going to keep our product list component. And so I'm going to right click on here and choose new file. And first we're going to create the template. So I'm going to call it products.component.html. I recognize for the naming convention that, actually I'm going to make it product. Doesn't really matter. I don't know why I'm changing it, but that's what I had in my notes, and so I'm going to just keep with my notes so that I don't trip and fall. Okay, so the reason why we call it product.component.html is because of our naming convention. We want to indicate, obviously, that it's a product. It makes it easy for someone else to see that you can, by the dot component, you don't have to call it that, but by naming convention, by standards, the nice thing about that is if you're looking at it, you can see that this is a component. It's part of the product component, and this is the HTML portion of that component. This is going to be the template for that product component that we're creating. So I'm going to Control-V and paste that all in the product component. And now I'm going to create the component itself. So again, in that same folder on the word products, I'm going to right click and choose file. And I'm going to keep the name convention. So it's obvious that these two go together. So component, product, component. And then this is the JavaScript. So we use TS instead of JS, right? Because this is the TypeScript version, or the TypeScript JavaScript that we're using for this project. And so now I'm going to create my component. And so to do that, remember it's a class. So we're going to type the word export, class, export, so it's available to other parts of our application. I can export this JavaScript elsewhere. Somebody else, some other code will import it. So export class, and this is going to be my product list component. I'll make that capital by convention, product list component. One word, got to pay attention to what I'm doing here, component, and then it's a class. So we're going to keep it empty for the moment, I believe. And then I'm going to push this down to the bottom. It has to be towards the bottom. So the component decorator needs to be above it. So we use the @component. So you can see that I'm getting an underline, and Visual Studio Code is letting me know, do you need to import the component library so that I know how to use it and probably spell it correctly? So the answer is yes. So I'm going to click on that, and it automatically imports it up above. I'm getting a little show fixes. So convert named imports. So apparently I spelled it wrong anyway, so I'm going to spell it correctly. Oh, it is spelled correctly. Okay, so I spelled something correctly when I usually incorrectly spell. So anyway, this is correct. The point was that I need to import from, remember, export, import. So somewhere in my code here, if I looked in node modules, there is a component that's created already for me called, in the Angular core folders there, and we're importing the libraries that allow us to utilize that code to create this decorator for Angular. So this is a method, and in the method I'm going to send an object. Okay, and I'll show you this where this resides in another video. So for now, we recognize we need to import it in order to use the component decorator. And now that I have the decorator, I can create the selector. So I can, this is what I'll put into my template anytime I want to drop this component in. So my selector is going to be PM products. And the only reason why I call it PM is this is my product manager. So PM is just sort of an initial, the initials for my product management project that I'm working on here. So that's why I call it PM. And then this is the products portion of that application. So that's the name of my selector. I'm going to create the template URL. So not the template, which is just a hard-coded HTML, but I'm going to actually use the template that we just created, this component.html. And so that is, put that in quotations, that is in the same folder. So // means look in the same folder that you're reading this component from. And we're going to do product, what did we call it? We just called it product.component, product.component.html. So I'm just reading this file right here. All right, and so let's see, I think that's all we need to do on this. So we're going to save it. I'm going to start up my live server. So we do npm start, remember, and see what happens. So it's going to create my server and it's going to bring up the web page, and we'll see what we get at this point in time. We get to sit and wait for it to compile, and it's compiling all that TypeScript into JavaScript for us, and it compiled successfully. And what happened? All right, so nothing's happening because I didn't put that directive, I didn't stick that component anywhere. So okay, so let's stick it where this starter files is located. So instead of starter files, we'll stick in that new component that we just created. Great. All right, so that is in the app component HTML. Remember that that was our starting component. So if I look there, I can see, well, there's the starter files that I just saw. So remember our selector was PM-product, I believe it was. If I'm not sure, I'm going to look back into my product component just to bring the whole pieces together, hopefully. And so the idea is that this is the selector for the component I created. I want to plop this component into this portion of my app component.html. And so that's what I need to PM-products. Okay, and save that. And now I'm going to look at my page that got updated, and oh, that does not look like a PM products, doesn't look like anything. So I'm going to right click on it and choose inspect element and see why it's upset. And it's giving me an error, and it says template parse errors, PM products is not a known element. If PM products is an Angular component, which it is, in my mind it made it a component, I thought that's what I did, then verify that it is part of this module. Then something about ng model schemas. Interesting. Okay, so if you're getting this error, that is the correct error that you should be getting. And in the next video, I will explain what it is that they're talking about in our error message.